How are y'all doing? Hey, what's going on, everyone? Happy Friday Eve. It's Dr. Delon Canterbury back again with another amazing episode of our red pill versus the blue pill. I am the CEO and founder of GeriatRx, as well as the red pill versus the blue pill, and of course, our signature Deprescribing Accelerator, where we coach geriatric pharmacists, nurses, and prescribers how to future-proof their businesses using Deprescribing and leveraging the power of a pharmacist, as well as good old patient advocacy, right? Doing what we were intended and meant to do as clinicians. And so today, I want to really talk about something I see across the board, especially in our profession, but honestly, a lot of it I see in just general healthcare. And it's a little bit of the losing of that spark that got us here to begin with. And so today's episode, we're talking about why pharmacists or consultant pharmacists find every excuse not to start their own Deprescribing business or consulting practice. And so we're going to dive into that today. But a lot of what I'll discuss comes along from not just experience and seeing it firsthand, but understanding how much of a mindset shift has to happen in order for us to not just bounce back with resiliency when we hit those lows, but to truly embrace and celebrate the wins along with just enjoying the ride. I mean, I've been in a business going on 4th year. This will be my 4th year going into April around my birthday, around the 15th was when I really went full time into building geriatrics. And of course, when you start something, first of all, it's helpful to not be thrown into it, okay, which was my situation. So for those who may not know, in 2019, the fall of 2019, thankfully, right before COVID, positioned as a Walgreens pharmacy manager. I did that for about 5 years, starting from rural Henderson, North Carolina, commuting from Durham, and ended up going to Durham for another role and then switching around a couple stores. And yeah, eventually 2019 was where I was like, man, this is not serving me. I hate every moment of every second of every minute of every day of my life. And I decided to finally step down, right, from a 5-year career. And actually, I was at Walgreens as a tech before that. So about 7 years, or intern, 7 years, a little bit during pharmacy school. And that was one of the first times I actually took said no to something in my career, right? It was like, I've been comfortable. I've had 6 figures for quite a bit of time, had some savings amassed, some assets, paid down some debt, good old school loans, right? Gotta love that, especially when you're out of state. But all that being said, that was like the first mini aha moment of, wait, I don't have to do this. Like, wait, I can, like, it took such a burden, like, just lifted to finally say, today is my last day of standing here and hating myself for another 50 years before I retire. Like, and I'm never going to discredit the profession in terms of the amount I've gained from being there, being able to manage a team, being able to make quick decisions, smart decisions on the fly. I mean, the versatility of what it takes to survive in honestly, a high-end, fast-paced, 24/7 restaurant can be daunting. It's just, the only difference is someone could die from your mistake. So it's definitely stressful, and I would say undervalued, the amount of work our community pharmacists honestly don't get credit for. And I mean, they bat for all their patients as best as they can with what they have. So anyway, tangent aside, that was me for a majority of my days, where, even I get frustrated and don't have the time of day to do all I want for my patients in that world. So anyway, I stepped down. And I stepped down to start another position to work as a poison control pharmacist, right? So again, I had the business idea at this point, but I had like a business name. I filed my application with the Secretary of State. So I had a business. I just wasn't doing anything with it. It was just there. And I decided to work for the poison control. Did that for a couple months, 4 months, right? So I stepped down. That was already like a $40,000 pay cut just because I wanted peace of mind. I wanted to work at my desk. I wanted to have an hour break and sit down and chill and take calls with a team of amazing poison control specialists like nurses and pharmacists, basically, and toxicologists. Super cool. Learning about snake bites, mushrooms, and which illicit drugs cause what, knowing those syndromes, those profiles. Dude, it was fun. I can't even lie. But then COVID hit. Yay! COVID hit, and our role as being poison control specialists essentially went through the window. We were no longer that. We were basically the COVID screening hotline. So it kind of triggered me because we basically were seeing phones ring off the hook. Like I was back in the community setting, and it was nonstop. This was when we didn't have any vaccines. This was when we didn't even really have accessible texting. And so the CDC was kind of figuring out what they were doing on the fly as much as everyone else, as well as the state guidelines. And so we became the hub at that poison control for all COVID-related calls. And we were by no means prepared for that. Duh, it was a team of maybe 12 people working 24/7, dealing with, kids swallowing silica gels or, a dog ate my medicine type stuff, which then turned into this whole COVID thing. Anyway, that happened. We were taking upwards of 700 calls a day among like 12 people. It got so bad. We had to like ask the state for help. We had to solicit help and volunteers from nursing schools, from pharmacy schools, all within like 3 or 4 months of this job. And needless to say, the job was taxing in a way that it wasn't supposed to. It was a great place, but it turned into the COVID hotline for North Carolina, and that's crazy. Anyway, needless to say, again, I'm happy I put my faith into another position. Even though it wasn't like my calling or dream, I wasn't really fully invested in myself yet. I was like, I could transfer some other stuff, do something a little easy, and essentially softball my way into entrepreneurship, right? Literally 2 days after my birthday, April 15th, from the work we were doing, I fell asleep at my desk. I nodded off at the poison control while I'm still in training. Okay, still in training. I nodded off for approximately 6 minutes and like 30 seconds because we're on a computer that times like dead time. So you're able to see essentially, how long you've been off. So I nod off. I am startled awake by my director. The director sends me home. No questions asked. Like, I think you should go home. I was like, oh, okay, fine. I go back the next day and my desk is cleaned out. They bring me to the office and say, hey, we're going to let you go. In the middle of COVID, 2 days after my birthday, after taking tons of calls, exhausted, training the other team members how to take calls and take escalations. Like the value I gave to the team didn't matter because I was fired that day. I was fired that day. And so I was angry, to say the least, but to be fired in the beginning of a pandemic with like no unemployment because you're fired wasn't in the stars, right? And at that point, I had just paid off my car. I was like, all right, I got some plans to get my savings back up and survive. And here we are 4 months into a new job, and I'm already fired in the middle of COVID. So, I was salty. I was like trying to fight it, trying to reinstate my role. And mind you, this wasn't the first time. So I had a fear and this is why I'm telling this long-winded way story, is I had a fear of my own ability to have success. I put more stock in someone else controlling what I can do, when I can do it, if I can take a break, if I'm allowed to use the restroom, because I didn't see I can do it alone, right? And trust me, we're not alone. There's a higher power here. But I had a fear of advocating for my own self because I was sidestepping what I was really trying to do. I already had the business idea in 2019. I didn't do anything with it, right? I was just sitting on it. Anyway, I say all this to say that we can do better, and a lot of the crippling stuff, the beliefs, the woo woo stuff, you know, I didn't take seriously in 2020 when I decided to start GeriatRx and go fully on board with this world, right? And at this time, after I'm fired, I'm angry. You know, I moved back home. I mean, I was in Charlotte, 2.5 hours away. I sacrificed at a point in time a relationship, left my dog, like girlfriend was watching all that for me. I mean, doing all the things to support this mission, I was terminated in 4 months. So I put a lot of wasted energy trying to fight what happened. I put a lot of energy in, all right, I'm going to do this. We're going to retaliate. This is wrongful termination. And it was like, dude, this was supposed to happen. It was supposed to happen. So I am never going to tell someone to just jump into entrepreneurship and say, all right, the money's going to come now. It doesn't work that way. Obviously, it takes time to build, and it could take years to hit that consistency. But when I tell you that was one of the best things that happened in my life, it is easily the best thing that has happened in my life. And this is why I have to highlight the number one thing that keeps people from investing in themselves, believing that they can even do this stuff, like believing that there is a world of opportunity or abundance in front of us, from a mindset shift that takes time to curate and honestly battle scars. It takes lows to get to that resiliency. But a lot of it, the number one thing is fear. The number one thing is fear. The number one thing is the fear of the unknown and the fear that we have the capability to sustain ourselves or to choose joy. And I spent a life not choosing my own joy. I by nature, was a bit of a people pleaser, wanted everyone happy, never really cared about what I thought. I was just, whatever the group wants to do, sure. I wasn't really that big on speaking my mind, which, you know, maybe surprised today. But during those days, especially when I wasn't working or being a boss, I definitely didn't care. I was like, man, whatever. I make too many decisions every day. Let y'all choose what's best for the group. But the fear of my own greatness, the fear of your own power to achieve greatness, the fear, and I still get the fear. I am not by all means fearless at all days and all points of my life. There is a ton of fear. The fear is never really going away. What changes is your ability to use that fear to move yourself forward fearfully. So that's courage. And so fear and courage are some of the initial things I fell victim to as I was starting my business. Yes, I was thrusted into it. And so it took a while to figure out, when do I start flying and figuring out the game and building a brand. But that's the number one thing when I meet other pharmacists and other geriatric clinicians, nurse entrepreneurs, social workers who are in this aging industry, who initially are just starting or taking that unknown leap. That's the number one thing that you have to not necessarily overcome, but leverage to your advantage and appreciate that you existing today, wherever you are in your career path, is 1,000% proof that you can do anything in this world. I'm going to say that again. You existing in your space, in your zone of genius today, that have gotten you here today, in your career, in your family life, in your relationships, all the lows you've had. Imagine the worst thing you've had ever in your life happen to you. That is God's proof that you can definitely do anything in this world, because you are living proof right now. You are living proof right now. And that is the cheat code to entrepreneurship. Having that mindset, that abundance mindset that, you know what, I've seen worse. You know what, there was a point in time where I was worrying about passing the law exam for my pharmacy degree. That was like the biggest worry at one point, right? That's nothing now. Like, clearly I'm a pharmacist, but we have these little fears when things come up that are huge and momentous, but it's like, dude, do you realize how great you are already? Have you thought about the dope stuff you've done to become a clinician, to become specialized, the stuff you've done for patients, the number of lives you saved, the interventions you've caught, the mistakes we've covered, the cost savings of our own profession, and how we've helped an entire health system with our expertise? Are you kidding me? Bro, we do it. We are living proof each and every day of the greatness God has given us. But not only that, that we can use that to our advantage. We can control that. It's not a cheat code. It's really not a cheat code. It's literally understanding this fear that will keep on coming because there's something new. There's something we don't know. But a lot of this stuff is embracing that you're just not going to know right now. And you're going to know once you do it. Once you take that action, and I'm going to be honest, in the beginning, I didn't know which way to go. I hired coaches, and at sometimes I just felt still lost in what to do next. I didn't know how to build a brand. I didn't know how to understand marketing. I didn't know how to, guys, I hate social media. I intrinsically hate social media. I have to be on social media. In fact, businesses have to be on social media, just point blank, period. You need a presence. You're not going to invest in someone who has no social media presence or or no portrait on their LinkedIn profile. Are you going to trust someone with no picture of themselves? No, you need to have a presence. And so in the beginning, I was dreading that, dragging my feet, but started small, posting once or twice a week on Facebook, switched over to LinkedIn, later got Instagram a year later, and started just doing the same thing consistently. So I was fearful, is the point I'm trying to make, about putting myself out there. And I didn't really articulate the value of understanding the importance of having a presence first. And yeah, thank you for commenting. It is true. I mean, when you start realizing when you're in alignment and in God's work and what we're supposed to do, what we were called to do, things flow. Things come to you that you wouldn't have expected, or doors open that you wouldn't have expected. And I'm not saying to blindlessly go on faith. It does require action, strategy, planning. But I would say the easiest and best thing you can do to kill that fear is to align yourself with people already doing the work. Connect with people, with mentors, with coaches, with entrepreneurs who are already there, and ask them how they did it. Have a community of people you can ask those questions that maybe bring about fear. And in the beginning, I didn't really have that. Okay. I was in my own head. I was kind of cocky. I was like, I'm a pharmacist. I could figure out a business. Nothing to it. Yeah, no. Yeah, God, no. I was humbly sat the hell down. I'm like, no, you don't know what the hell you're doing, DeLon. And it took having a community of people to piggyback those midnight thoughts off of, or get you unstuck with a situation, or how do I handle this case, or how do I market this? It takes time to get that confidence muscle. And so what I hear, particularly when I meet pharmacists who, express interest in our Deprescribing accelerator, or essentially have been in the game for a long time, but feel like they are too old to start something new, I'm like, that's reverse ageism. Don't give me that nonsense. I don't believe in that, first of all. But secondly, they don't see how much their gifts have already provided value to the people around them. I mean, I met a pharmacist earlier this year who has helped to save a specialty pharmacy as a pharmacy director, like over $1 million. Over $1 million. 25-year veteran pharmacy director. It took one person above her who just didn't like her, who said, we're letting you go. Because she stood up for her patients and told the truth and questioned the policies. She did the right thing. Did you do anything wrong? And so someone took away what she loved because of pettiness. And now she's in a startup company that she dreads. She works from home, but she's trapped in her own home and doesn't see her own greatness because she's been beaten down so much from people that don't matter, from people's opinions that we put as this false standard of expectations. But it's a lie. It's a complete lie. It's a complete lie I have sold myself, because I tell you what, this game is always about you versus you. It's always about you versus you, not me versus whoever else I see, whoever looks good, whoever's there. It's literally a you versus you game. So honestly, unless you're staying the same, you're going to win because you're going to learn how to do things better. And that's with time. And that comes with confidence. And that comes with a community of people that are on the same mission as you. And so for me, there was mad fear. And I would say the second piece to this was not having confidence. Fear was one thing, but I would say I still struggle with limiting beliefs and the self-deprecation that closest friends notoriously see me as, because I'm extremely hypercritical of myself, but I would literally be 6 months in business and be like, damn, why haven't I made my 6 figures yet? Within 6 months of my business, I'm like, damn, why am I not there yet? Why didn't I do this? Why didn't I do that one thing? And it's like, I am taking more energy beating up myself rather than embracing the amazing stuff I've done up to this point. Or even using past lives I've touched. Look, in the first 4 or 5 months of me starting GeriatRx full-time in April and finally putting the word out, I was in these streets, okay? COVID just hit, so I was using everything within my virtual power to let people know that there is a concierge pharmacist who is going to give you all the tea on how to navigate these meds, how to get you into clinical trials, how to get you some grants, patient advocate foundations, how to deprescribe, how to save you on costs, how to reduce side effects. And don't get me wrong, it ain't sexy talking about, is your loved one on too many pills? It's not sexy, and I don't care, because it's the problem. And the problem is, we as consultant pharmacists, we in these LTC facilities, we as geriatric pharmacists, I am so tired of meeting so many brilliant minds who don't see how much value they have already. And when you don't acknowledge that greatness, that light in you, like myself, you end up blocking your blessings. You end up losing on opportunities. You end up losing on profit. You end up in this circle of just defeatism. But it's a lie, because if we are here, we're all beings of light. I don't care what your beliefs are. Everyone has a light energy. And so how are we using that to serve others? And when you're able to find that and serve other people, the magic happens, the passion happens, the limiting beliefs tend to go away, because you're in alignment with what you're supposed to do, what you're called to do as a clinician. And so let's talk about the bigger issue, the elephant in the room. Healthcare is being bought out by private equity. Healthcare is monopolized. Okay? Healthcare is business. Healthcare is capitalism. You guys see every day in the news, CVS is buying something, some Amazon's buying something, some health IT startup, venture capitalist, blah, 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 buying out this telehealth thing. What do you think is going to happen in the next 10 years? You really think we're going to be like, there's going to be a free market? There's going to be people all about the world of mergers and acquisitions. And the aging industry is no exception to that rule. And so what I hear when I meet consultant pharmacists who are telling me about their life, what they're going through, what their day-to-days are, they are basically working for these private equity, soulless companies that aren't the usual mom and pops who used to care. It's all about profit. So if it's all about profit, how are you showing up in true alignment with what we're called to do here? You're probably not. You're probably working for an industry that feeds the very same problem that we clinically want to stop. Or it's a culture where we're not even as revered, or your intervention may or may not be taken. Sometimes they take my recommendations for a gradual dose reduction, but I see a medication that's 20 lists long, and it's like, oh, well, no change is necessary. Nothing to report. I'll see you next month for my audit. When we know that's not what we want to do. These facilities, these LTCs, these ALFs, these nursing homes, they are not built for holistic healing and wellness. They are not equipped with staff to train them on mindfulness and behavioral dissociation for patients who may be acting out with dementia. They don't have the capacity. They don't even see a way out. They only see, hey, we need you in this bed and we need to bill you as long as possible. Not all, but where the industry is going, where healthcare is going, is just the profit model. So when I meet pharmacists who work in these spaces, who see the truth of why there needs to be a deprescribing movement, but feel voiceless, but feel they can't do it in their job, but feel like, oh, it's too much. Screw that. Do it. But do it for yourself. Do it for your lifestyle. Do it for your community. Do it for the aging population. Damn, like, do it. Do it outside of their world, because it ain't going to work intrinsically unless there's an entire culture shift. And that's going to take policy change, key stakeholders, reallocation of resources, buy-in, and a whole system change. And the system's already designed to be flawed and be built upon a numbers game. So the aging industry, like I said, is going to privatization and mergers and acts. You're likely going to end up as a consultant pharmacist working for either an Omnicare, which I don't know, it didn't exist. I think they're going to shut that down. But you're going to be working for these LTCs either through a mail order pharmacy or something, or you're going to find these facilities and audits, and you're just going to be all over the place. The future of healthcare is leading and healing with empathy. When you're able to relate to your patient on a deeper level, you're going to have lasting and more impactful clinical interventions than just saying, here's what I think of your med list. I'll see you later. If you're not able to have deep spiritual conversations about just simply how to go about your day with your patients, you are behind and you're not doing what you were intended to do. All of us as pharmacists are educators. All of us have a love for communicating our beautiful drug knowledge in a way that advocates and saves the lives of others. So why take away our intrinsic gift from God for a job that confines us to only do so much with so little time? I challenge you to get the hell out of that role. Step down, do something part-time, feed your inner kid, do the small things that make you tick. It didn't have to be about pharmacy. Like, dude, if you want to write a blog, write a blog. If you want to write a book, write a book. You want to ride your horses again, ride your horses again. Why are we waiting for permission for us to do the stuff we love? Colleen mentioned as a comment that I blame our leaders, and she's a pharmacist. She's commenting that she's saying, I blame our leaders, both in Congress and in pharmacy leadership. 14-hour days with no breaks and allowing companies like CVS to buy insurance companies and then force people to go to their pharmacies. This is just the tip of the iceberg. Yes, it is, Colleen. It's a S show. I would have cursed, but it's a problem. This vertical integration, this monopolization, this patient steering, the lack of transparency in these PBMs is grotesque. And when you have $1 billion hedge valuation and $1 billion dream teams of lawyers to do away, and as well as a lobbying power, yeah, it's going to be real hard to change the system when you're up against that. However, we as pharmacists have the power to do it our way. And that is the movement behind what I've discovered in leveraging my fears and honestly, my confidence. The confidence came later. There was like a will for sure, but the confidence you see today has compounded over these past 4 years of doing this. Yeah, and so you don't get the confidence unless you take action. And what I see is are us brilliantly minded, amazing pharmacists not taking the action. We want to stay stuck. We don't want to, but we do. Or we don't have someone to help guide them through that forest, right? Like a mentor or a coach, which we provide as a part of our Deprescribing Accelerator community. They don't have that, or they don't have the first step down, or, you know, they have the money, but they don't want to prioritize their own time. You see, what I lived these 34 going on 35 years of my life was by not prioritizing myself. You see, there's parallels to this, guys. I may be calling out consultant pharmacists, but I am in that same boat. I am someone who, again, didn't know how to speak for what I wanted in business, in relationships, in love life, and even family boundaries, because we all got to have some family boundaries sometimes. So I didn't know how to say no. And I didn't know how to say yes to me. The pharmacists I talk to do not know how to say yes to themselves. They are killing the light that they have been given, and I do it too, because we have these limiting beliefs. We don't see that this is a world of abundance. We don't see it. So I mentioned fear. The second thing I want to mention is confidence. They kind of go hand in hand, but confidence is the other excuse why we don't want to start our own practices. Let's be honest, guys. We have been taught the basics of basically demanding our value, honestly, from school. If you know how to do a problems case, which is an extensive med management report, well, I know I'm taking it back to fourth year. I know, we're going back in time a little bit, but bear with me. You understanding the basics of a SOAP note, SOAP, is honestly enough to start a deprescribing practice. Seriously, like you understanding geriatric pharmacology, you having a BCGP is enough, period. Because you know how to tailor and create extensive care plans for people. If you know how to do that, you can damn sure advocate for getting people off of meds and sell that as a higher service. Guys, the aging industry, here's the secret, okay? So I'm gonna let y'all lean in, take notes, whatever you gotta do. All right. I'm gonna sit up straight because let me crack my back a little bit because I gotta I'm dropping. All right. Gotta drop some bombs. All right. I'm feeling good. Let's get ready. Okay. The aging industry, and mind you, we're not here for glorious vanguard, but from my experience within the aging landscape, okay, the aging landscape is an abundance of strictly cash-based models, and there are no pharmacists taking advantage of it. There are no geriatric pharmacists. Hey, Kaya, what's up? Kaya had to come up because she was feeling the word too. She came up all from downstairs. What's up, baby? You good? She came up to say what's up. Seriously. There is an entire aging industrial complex, from home health care to patient advocacy to caregiver support to making a house disability friendly, to deaf and blindness disability services, to helping people with getting the right insurance plans. The power of deprescribing literally affects all of these roles. It literally affects all of these touch points. And there is value when you, as a geriatric pharmacist or deprescribing advocate, can go to an occupational therapist and say, I'm going to reduce the falls for 20% of your patients over a year from my med review. Guys, that's just one example. There's a role of physical therapists. Same thing. There's a world of workman's comp. How many people on workman's comp that are seniors? They're a good bit. They were. The whole world of workman's comp is built upon controlling costs. If you're able to holistically keep someone's pain down and get them off of chronic opioids and they're 55 or 60, you're able to save the workman's comp money and the patient has better outcomes. Bro, that is a business model. Do you understand how many medical malpractice lawsuits happen each year to millions of dollars? Geriatric pharmacists, geriatric nurses, geriatric social workers. Do you understand there's an entire health team of elder care attorneys that literally go day to day looking for pharmacists to provide medical expert testimonies from a med review to use in court. That is what I do. That was my first case. I didn't even go down that route. That's a whole world. A pharmacist can just partner with an elder care attorney and serve as a medical expert witness in court and get paid a retainer. That's a 5-figure retainer. Gentlemen, why am I the only one talking about this? There's a whole world of opportunity for us, guys. Whew. And that's still just the tip of the iceberg. You see, we feel like we have to be confined to a medical office or the insurance or a health system. Nah, baby. There's a whole world of businesses helping other businesses in alignment with our passions, with our God-given gifts. And it's more fun. It's way more fun. It's way more fun for me to get a case to help with an elder abuse example. I'll give you this. This happened last month. This is an interesting case. It's pretty dark, so bear with me. We took on a case where a family member was concerned about the care of their father. Now, the sibling of that family member has the POA, and they've noticed that their father has been having some issues with some memory loss. And they noticed that the sibling was filing for conservatorship. They were trying to basically take control of what all this guy's got. And so they hired me, and I got a referral from word of mouth. I'm still not sure how they found me, but hey, they found me, thank God. But I got the referral. I took on the case. They hired me to do an initial workup on the patient's medications. So this guy, fairly young, he was like, I don't know, about 70-year-old gentleman, has a portfolio of hundreds of properties. So he's wealthy, or perceived to be wealthy. And one of the members is seeking conservatorship to take some of those assets away. And so what they've hired me to do was to help with the case and looking to see if the medications are causing or masking any form of dementia. And so I do the review, I look at everything, and he's on a good bit of psych meds, a good bit of benzos, so, the Xanax, Klonopins. And the worst part is they are being essentially, per the caretaker, force-fed a half bottle of wine every night. Every night. Like forced. Like they do it every night. They drink a half bottle of wine. And it's not an exaggeration. It's what happens every night. They do it together as a couple. And so calculating this guy's weight, looking at probably the alcohol percentage in there, combined with the benzos, the antidepressants, the gabapentin, the psych meds, the donepezil, the Ariceps. The man already has quote unquote Alzheimer's. Why the hell are we doing this? It's medical malpractice. And so the caretakers, and why I say it's medical is because I find out later, the person who was seeking conservatorship has a personal relationship with quote unquote the provider. And so they essentially, she has control of the medical records. She's not letting their own patient see the medical records themselves. They're refusing to share that information. And they're blocking the rest of the family from having access to him. guys, I'm being hired for this case, and there's a likelihood I will be going to court to show the evidence of my medication review discussing how the alcohol is interacting with the benzos, it's interacting with antipsychotics, and of course, anti quote unquote dementia meds. They took away this dude's license already, his driving permit. And so these drugs are masking some of these signs. And the worst part is they're trying to force them into a memory care unit so they can further the case that they need to be put somewhere and we'll take their assets. So guys, it is an ugly world. I'm not here to dwell on that. I'm here to show that I still have the power to use this light, to use this gift, to use our expertise, to just leverage what we do already in our own worlds for others, for ourselves. But I'm choosing me in a way by choosing to help other people. And it's thrilling. And so I will keep you guys posted on where this case goes. But me being able to come in front of you today and be transparent didn't happen overnight. All right, this isn't a show. This isn't a facade. Like, this isn't selling dreams. Like, I am literally documenting my life as a personal accountability for me, but to show that this light you have, you can do all of this. I want you to do this. I don't care if it's deprescribing. I want you to use your facilities, your gifts, and just get more involved with your faith-based communities. Get more involved with your local area agency on aging. Are you familiar with the legislature actions for elder abuse? Is that your speed? If you're in this space, why are we just saying confined to what a long-term care facility tells us to do? Why? Is it in alignment with why you got into the profession? Is it like making you light up every day and you have such eminent joy and abundance at your fingertips that you want for nothing? If you have that, dude, great, because that's what we all deserve. So why see what you want and then say, that's not me. Oh, it's just Delon talking again. Oh, only those other cool entrepreneurs can do that. Bro, I don't care how bad you think you got it. You can do anything in this world. You can will anything in this world. And I firmly believe that. Because trust me, I did not when I started this business. I knew I had a vision. I knew I had a goal. But when I tell you the little voice monster saying, Delon, you ain't this, bro, that ain't your lane. You're not supposed to do this. This is so controversial that no one's going to buy your services. Yeah, I had those limiting beliefs too. Now I'm training other clinicians, other pharmacists, other businesses to implement my deprescribing strategies. Now I'm seeing my clients get results. Shout out to Dr. Tamara Ruggles of the Deprescribing Clinic, holding it down for the Midwest, who had her soft launch last week, only wanting one patient, and she already has 5. She has 5 patients that she's going to touch and deprescribe and help heal because she saw that she has a gift, and all she has to do is just tweak a little bit and say, boom, I'm doing this for me. And I am so proud of her. Dr. Megan Keller, another alumni of our Deprescribing Accelerator, is doing it within her own world. She is fusing her love for holistic wellness and healing and yoga. And now she's bringing up a storm of deprescribing within her health system that she currently works at. She just gave a grand rounds discussion on deprescribing for the entire providers team. And now they want to get a role where she can have her own position for billable deprescribing services in a healthcare system. Do not tell me you don't have the ability to make this stuff happen. You just can't. And I don't think I'm an anomaly. I am not an anomaly. All of us can do this. Seriously. I don't want anyone in my situation who is fired from a job in the middle of COVID to launch a business. All right. That's not an ideal situation. Okay. But if I can do that with very little, I'm a firstborn immigrant with, I don't know, I don't have a legacy of funds like some people have in their circles. Okay. I had to take out a business loan. I'm okay to say that. I don't have any shame in saying that. That's an investment in me. That was an investment in coaches. That was an investment in communities of people that put me in rooms that give me this confidence I have now. I invest in keeping that repertoire of people to ask if I need help. Not just that, to get out of my own damn head. I'm in my head all the time. Yes, that's what we do. We overthink stuff and cripple our gifts. So in the beginning, when I was doing this, all I saw was I need to have more zeros in the bank account. And I ironically left a profession to become the problem that I was running away from. I'm not gonna say I was doing sleazy stuff. No, it was like my mind was so focused on I need to make this work versus I need to help as many people as possible. My mind was focused on I need to make this business work instead of I need to help as many people as possible. That is the definition of a lack mindset versus an abundance mindset. And I didn't believe in the woo-woo stuff. And this isn't even woo-woo stuff. This is literally how you get a thriving business. It's mindset shifting. It's getting out of our own head. It's asking for the advice of people who already do it. It's learning from the mistakes of others. It's, allowing me a space to teach others not to do the stuff I did in the beginning. I made a lot of mistakes. I said yes to a lot of people that did not deserve my time and energy. And I didn't have boundaries. So we mentioned fear. We mentioned self-confidence as the second excuse I hear. The third one is time. The third one I hear is timing. Well, Delon, I don't want to do this now because, I'm going to travel next month, or, I just don't see the value now, or, Delon, I don't want to join the deprescribing movement because I just don't think I can do it, as in I don't have the ability. That's you. That's all your thing. Like, no, it's not my thing. This is our thing. This is the entire point is for us as clinicians in the senior space is to use these gifts. Do you know how many nurses leave the profession of nursing and start their own patient advocacy practice, or patient navigation is a model because they know the system, or they develop their own healing circle, like another one of our alumni, or they create their own nonprofits to help support caregivers. These are all heart missions. It makes us wake up like, yeah, it's a lot of work, but hey, we love our lives. So in an industry, particularly the senior care business, in an industry that is ripe with tons of cash-only business models. Why do we, as consultant pharmacists, geriatric pharmacists, board-certified geriatric pharmacists, senior care pharmacists, pharmacists, period, why don't we think we can leverage a cash-based model using our expertise already? We got lawyers doing it. We got geriatricians doing it, writing books, being keynotes, making workshops, making digital coaching sessions. Nurses are doing it. Occupational therapists are doing it. Some, don't want to get billed through Medicare because the model sucks. Yeah, I know. But you don't think you could do it yourself? You don't think you could sell your drug knowledge to your local area agency on aging and do a monthly webinar on medications that worsen falls, which is what you do every day in your life? You don't think that's a business model? Oh, did you create some kind of PowerPoint or workshop that you've done in the past? You don't think you could sell that as a coaching or training or as a way to train your community members? You don't think that's something you could repurpose and sell? Okay. Let me show you how. That is my business model. So I'm just giving you hope, okay? When I started this, there wasn't a magic genie saying, Delon, you need to go to these nursing homes and give a talk about deprescribing. I just did stuff to figure out what worked, all during COVID, all when no one wanted to talk to me, okay? No one cared. In 2020, no one cared. Everyone was like, you know what, bro? We're shut down. We don't even have time. Everyone's risk averse. No one's thinking about this yet. So I'm like, okay, cool. That's fine. I'm going to keep talking my stuff and volunteering my services and educating people around whatever I can to get into the door, but to also know the game, because I don't know the industry. There's still more I don't know. But there's a whole world of geriatric care managers that will pay willingly to have a pharmacist help them unpack these crazy medication lists. There are associations that are invested in doing this, and they will pay you 4 figures to figure it out. 4 figures, not what you make in a month at your job, but 4 figures for one project. Do not tell me you can't do this. That's the fear talking. That's not you. That's the fear. That's the lies. That's the, I don't have the next step down. I don't have the paperwork. I got to ask the board of pharmacy. Bro, nobody cares about the board of pharmacy. Stop using that cop-out. They don't know. They don't control you. You need to get out of the pharmacist's brain and see it as a business owner's brain, a business mindset. There are a couple of ways to address the fear. Absolutely, having a community people talk through those fears is 100% the easiest thing you can do. And it doesn't have to be, it could be a life coach, could be a best friend who's maybe been there, just a confidant to guide you through, because I would not be here if I didn't have the right tutelage from my mentors and coaches, just point blank, period, okay? Too many times I was like, bro, I'm shutting down shop. It's a wrap for me. This was fun while it lasted. Bye, have a beautiful time. It was like, I'm good. So they've been invaluable to helping me get here today. But a lot of this comes from who's in your circle that agrees with the mission with deprescribing. Who in your circle wants less meds? Senior pharmacists, this fleece I'm wearing today, they want less meds. So when I didn't know what I was doing yet, I volunteered with them. I volunteered with them. I volunteered with them. I ended up working with them to not just learn more about the space, but to just serve, because I never got involved with something like this. So what helped me figure out my business model and my passion was to just do some things that I had never done before. And this is all while I was starting my business, didn't know where to go yet. COVID was like being COVID. So I just got involved with nonprofits in the community. I worked with Community Health Coalition, served as a telehealth director for a couple of months. My job was to help with wellness checks and calls for, for Black older adults in nursing homes, and create a software or a platform for us to do these telehealth consults with our nursing team. Fun, right? Fun. That's a fun mission for me. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was just figuring things out. So I did that for a couple months. Got involved with the African American COVID Task Force. I got involved with that task force because my own family was like, nah, we ain't getting the vaccine. So I was like, okay, we got to talk about this, because I can't have my at-risk family members die needlessly once it comes out. So when I started hearing the same misinformation in these, group me's and, public spaces, I decided to just be involved. They invited me to just talk more about it. And so I did. I talked about what's in the vaccines, and ended up spending an entire year damn near talking about COVID, not barely talking about my own business, but just talking about COVID and dispelling myths and riding the wave. And within a year of business, I've already been featured on TV, been on a radio show, been on podcasts, been on numerous podcasts after that, and became a public speaker. And it was by accident. Seriously, it was by accident. I had no intent of making that the business model. But if I didn't do that, one, I wouldn't have had the confidence to be able to speak so eloquently in front of you all today. But I didn't know I had the power to educate like that. And so what I learned about people and how to talk to people at their level and meet them where they are, and leading with empathy first, and honestly acknowledging the disservices our healthcare system still brings about to our communities of color, I wouldn't have had the groundedness to be able to relate to my patients and speak on a level that gets them the results and still helps them hit those healthcare goals. And then icing on the cake, I now have a network of people within the community that we can do projects with, like, for instance, a Deprescribing grant that we're submitting within African American churches, which I'm extremely excited for. So I say this to surmise that the fear is going to be there, the confidence will be there, but time. How much time do you have not living your best life? Like, how much time do you have in you today? Like, think about it. How much time do you have to say, you know what? I don't want to enjoy the rest of my life for the next 10 years, and then I want to start enjoying it when I turn 52 or something. Like, what is your limit, bro? Like, what is it going to take for you to see that you can still live this life? And I'm not saying the entrepreneur life. I'm simply saying a life where you're in complete joy and abundance of whatever you're doing, that I think has to require serving others in some way, because that's my way of joy. But what is the goal for you? I say it again. Is it writing a book? Is it doing a blog? Is it travel? Is it diabetes education? Is it opioid deprescribing? What is it? Knitting? Like, just do it. I don't want to hear, well, I have to ask permission from the market scheduler to let me have a break this Christmas, and it's February. We are better than that. We deserve better than that. Like, we have such a gift to share. Why not choose yourself first. And I'm speaking from someone who lived a life never choosing myself first. So, hope today resonated. But let me know your thoughts. I want to thank you all for chiming in, tuning in, and the comments are always much appreciated. Daryl, thank you. Colleen, thanks for the love. Silvana, Shamika, Precious, and Nova Pharma. Thank you guys for tuning in today. But yeah, what are your thoughts? This was another episode of the Red Pill, Blue Pill. Again, I'm Dr. DeLon Canterbury. I'm here today showing us a way to choose the red pill. Okay, it's embracing the fear. It's rolling with the uncomfortableness of it all and using that for the bigger purpose, the bigger light that we have, the gift that we've been given, the calling. And our calling is to heal. Simply put, it's to heal. If you're in this space, you're called to heal. And so how do we leverage that? Do you want to leverage deprescribing for speaking opportunities? Do you want to leverage deprescribing for potential grants that you can roll out? Do you want to leverage deprescribing using pharmacogenomics and build your own practice within long-term care facilities and nursing homes? Do you want to use deprescribing as a one-on-one service? Do you want to use deprescribing within your faith-based communities? Do you want to use it in non-traditional roles where you're working with elder care attorneys or law firms or geriatric care managers or occupational therapists or physical therapists or caregiver advocates or patient advocates or patient navigators or home health? You see, we're all connected. We're all connected. Some don't use insurance. Most I see use cash. So if you're a geriatric pharmacist, you are sitting on gold. You already are the plug. When you go to these places, they're already in awe that you're there because they don't see you there. And why do I know this? Because I'm the only one there. I'm the only one I see when I go to patient advocate conferences. I'm the only one I see when I go to caregiver advocacy conferences. I don't see us in the room when it comes to coalitions on aging. I don't see the pharmacists there. I don't see us when it comes to legislature in aging services. I don't see pharmacists talking about food insecurities. I don't see pharmacists, the few I do, talk about financial patient access navigation. Shout out to Geraldine Arneson. You have to create that space and not let this fear of, do I belong, cripple your profits. And of course, why we're here, to help and heal others. So hope this was impactful. Tune in next week. We'll have another episode of Red Pill, Blue Pill. We are currently screening for our May cohort for the Deprescribing Accelerator. Our summer cohort is going to start fairly soon. Before you know it, May's going to be here. We've already got people on our wait list. About 16 people have been signed up. Only 5 seats. Only 5 seats we'll take for May. Okay. So we're looking for passionate, entrepreneurial geriatric pharmacists. We're looking for geriatric nurses. We're looking for geriatric social workers. We're looking for geriatric NPs, geriatric PAs. All of those names I've dropped are eligible for taking our course. It's a 15-hour live CEU credit. If you were to take it and commit to it, we teach you within 12 weeks, just 12 weeks, how to leverage and sustainably monetize deprescribing within your senior-facing practice. You'll have access to a community of like-minded deprescribing alumni, our certified deprescribing advocates, who are making their own worlds of deprescribing. They're using their own selves as change agents, who are embracing this fear of the unknown, and who are now in a way touching people that I would have never dreamed of. And so I'm so proud to see where this movement's going, and that the time is now. The time is now to act. Like, I've already discussed how many clinicians are even leaving healthcare, not just aging alone, but just period. They're leaving healthcare. And so we have an aging population slated to reach 70 million by 2050 with no geriatricians, right? They're not even there. They're 1% of all providers. Healthcare is going to be seen by NPs and PAs. That's going to be like your standard of care now. That's where the industry is going. It's just where it's going. So, are you prepared to handle this aging population? How are you differentiating yourself to help our aging population? How are you empowering businesses that walk the spectrum of aging industry services with your expertise and your drug knowledge? How are you rolling out falls reduction action plans for some of these facilities and getting paid yourself, not from an hourly that they set for you? When are you going to say enough's enough and bet on yourself? Okay, I think I made my point. Love y'all. Hope this is helpful. As you know, I'm all about love. This is a wake-up call, I hope, for those of us feeling stuck, to take that leap, to take that urgency, that fear, that lack of confidence, and throw them away. I challenge you to throw those limiting beliefs away. Throw them away. Throw it away and just believe it is going to happen. Believe the best outcome will happen, and then do it and make it happen. Anyway, we'll see you next week. Much love, and let me know your thoughts. Take care.